Welcome to The Critique. Today we're looking at an investigative report from Channel 14. It's an exposé on a smear campaign called Reservists for Security, and it follows the money trail back to a political nonprofit, Blue and White Future.
Yeah, it's a classic follow the money piece. The connections are there, but right now the logic has some gaps, and honestly, the visual storytelling feels a little dated. So let's see how we can make this thing completely irrefutable.
Okay, so a big theme I'm seeing here is this tension between exposing the messenger and, actually fighting back against the message itself, which I think brings us right to our first point on completeness and focus. You have to address the claim, not just the claimant.
Right. That's the core of it. The report does a pretty good job identifying who was behind the campaign. We get the names, Guy Your Diddy, Blue and White Future. But it totally misses this huge opportunity to dismantle what the campaign is actually saying.
So just to lay it out, the report plays this really specific, nasty clip from the attack ad.
Yeah, the one that says Channel 14 is against women in the Army.
And that it supports draft dodging, and that, 8,500 female soldiers are out there protecting the men of the channel. It's a heavy accusation.
It is. And here's the weakness. The report shows that clip, which is super damaging, and then it just pivots. It immediately jumps to investigating the money, the Facebook page transparency, all that stuff.
And it just leaves that accusation hanging in the air.
Exactly. The idea that the channel harms his national security, that it's anti-women, it's just left there, completely unchallenged. You're inadvertently giving the smear itself free airtime. The viewer hears the lie, and even if they learn the funding is shady, the lie is what sticks with them.
It's that illusion of truth thing, right? You repeat something even to debunk its source, and the repetition itself makes it feel more true. You have to kill the lie on the spot.
You have to. So the suggestion is you've got to debunk the message at the exact same time you expose the messenger. You can't let the what stand while you go chasing the who.
Okay, I think this is totally fixable with just a couple of smart editing choices. So let's talk concrete examples.
Let's do it.
Immediately after you play that attack ad, the one claiming 8,500 female soldiers are protecting C-14 men, just insert a really quick, 5-second montage.
Of what?
Of Channel 14 content that shows the exact opposite. Show your female war correspondents in the field. Show clips that highlight the military service of your own staff, men and women.
Oh, I like that. It's a visual contradiction. It's immediate. You don't even need a narrator to say anything at first. You just show, don't tell.
Exactly. Another way to do it, you could add one line of narration right after the clip. Something like, while this campaign claims we undermine security, the reality is our channel has consistently celebrated the service of all soldiers.
Which makes the following revelation about their funding even more cynical.
There you go. You build a bridge. You connect the lie directly to the cynical money behind it.
Yeah, that's so much stronger. It completely reframes the story. It's not, they say we're bad, but look, they're funded by some shadowy group. It's, they're actively lying about us, and now we're going to show you exactly who is paying for those lies.
It makes the funding part the knockout punch, not your only defense.
Right. You establish them as liars first. Once the audience sees they're liars, they're much more willing to follow you down the rabbit hole of their finances.
Okay, let's move on. Let's dig into the part about the political connections, because I think there's a similar issue there. This brings us to our second point, significance and relevance. You have to explicitly connect the dots for the viewer.
The report does establish a link, between the Reservists page, this guy, Guy Your Diddy, and the Blue and White Future nonprofit. The lines are drawn.
But it feels like it's relying way too much on the audience already knowing why that mattered.
That's the weakness. It mentions that the guy running the Facebook page also ran campaigns against the government, and then specifically against MK Merav Micheli.
Right.
But for a casual viewer, someone who maybe doesn't follow politics that closely, the link between a reservist group and a campaign against Merav Micheli, that's confusing. It might even seem totally irrelevant.
Yeah, if you think of Blue and White Future as a left-wing protest group, why would their guy be attacking a prominent left-wing politician? It feels contradictory.
It does. And the report just assumes the viewer gets the subtext, that this proves the guy is just a mercenary. But it never actually says that. It just lists his resume and hopes you get it.
It's a list of facts, not an argument. It feels more like trivia than evidence.
Exactly. So the suggestion here is simple. You have to explicitly narrate the so what of your investigation. Don't just list the connections. You have to explain in plain language why they prove this reservist group is a sham.
You have to tell the audience that this pattern of behavior means he's a hired gun, not some true believer.
Yes. Spell it out. Because if you're a true ideologue, you're probably not running attack ads against both the government and the leader of the Labor Party. That doesn't make sense. The only thing that makes sense is that you work for whoever pays.
Okay, so concrete example. You just need to add one line of narration. After listing his past campaigns, you say something like, the fact that this same administrator attacked both the government and opposition figures like Mirav Mikhaili proves this isn't an ideological movement. It's a hired gun working for specific political interests.
That's it. So much sharper. It tells the viewer exactly how to interpret the information you just gave them. It clears up all the confusion.
Here's another one. When you first mention Blue and White Future, the funding source, you have to be explicit. Say, this proves that Reservists for Security is not a grassroots military organization as it claims to be,
But a subsidiary of a well-funded political apparatus.
Yes, that language is key. Subsidiary of a political apparatus. It strips away all their camouflage. The viewer might not remember the details of Blue and White Future, but they'll remember that.
It turns a confusing web of names into a simple, clear hierarchy. It tells the audience you're being manipulated by a big organization that's wearing a mask.
Okay, this is good. Let's shift from the argument to the presentation itself, which brings us to our third critique point on tone and style. Visual proof versus verbal assertion.
This is a huge one for TV news. The report relies so heavily on the reporter just talking, standing in the studio or doing a voiceover that says, we checked and we found.
And it's such a missed opportunity for powerful visual storytelling. So the weakness is obvious. The reporter says things like, a check reveals, or what turns out, according to Facebook, is.
It's tell, don't show 101.
It really is. And in an age where everyone is so skeptical of the media, just asking the audience to trust your word isn't enough. A verbal assertion is basically hearsay. Visual evidence is proof.
It's the trust me bro school of journalism. I looked it up, so you don't have to. It just doesn't land anymore. It lacks that gotcha moment an investigative piece needs.
So the suggestion is to restructure the whole segment, turn it into a visual walk, make it a digital forensic journey where the viewer feels like they're discovering the links right alongside the reporter.
Yeah, you sort of gamify it a little. Make the audience feel like they're the detective cracking the case.
Exactly. So here's a concrete example of how to do it. Instead of showing the reporter talking, use a screen recording graph. Show us the mouse cursor.
Okay.
Show the cursor clicking on page transparency on the Facebook groups page. We see the name Guy Yurdiati pop up. Then, in a split screen or a quick transition, you show that same name on the Blue and White Future donation page.
Oh, that's so much better. It's dynamic. It's cause and effect. Click here, see this, go here, see it again. It feels undeniable because the viewers saw it with their own eyes.
Here's another example. The report mentions that the group isn't a registered nonprofit, an amuta.
Right.
Instead of just saying that, visually highlight the transparency section on their page to show the empty space where the registration number should be. Then put it side by side with a page from a legitimate nonprofit that does have the number.
Yes, that's brilliant. It turns this abstract bureaucratic detail into a really simple visual piece of evidence. It's like showing a car with a license plate next to a getaway car with no plate. You instantly know something's wrong.
And it builds so much trust. You're not hiding anything. You're saying, here's the evidence. Look at it for yourself. The whole report feels more authoritative, and it becomes much, much harder for the subjects of the report to just dismiss it.
Definitely.
All right, let's look at the ending, the conclusion of this is our final critique point on audience alignment and what we're calling the no comment conclusion.
So the report ends in the most standard way possible, We asked for a response, Guy Yarditi refused, Blue and White Future didn't respond, silence is an admission of guilt.
And the argument here is that this ending is just flat. It's so passive.
It's worse than passive. It's toothless. The weakness is that ending with silence is a confession is such a cliche. It has no bite anymore. It lets these guys just ignore the channel, wait for the news cycle to turn, and keep doing exactly what they were doing.
It feels like the reporter is claiming victory, like, ha, they're speechless, but it's really just a stalemate. They stay silent, the story dies.
That's it. So what if we could weaponize their no comment?
I like that. So the suggestion is to reframe their refusal to comment. Don't just say they didn't talk. Tell the audience the specific pointed questions they refuse to answer. Make it about donor transparency.
That changes everything. It's no longer they won't talk to us. It becomes they are hiding this specific information from the people who give them money.
Let's get concrete. You change the sign-off to something much more pointed. Like, we ask Blue and White Future a direct question. Are your donors aware their money is being used to create anonymous smear campaigns against a news channel?
To that specific question, they chose not to respond.
Exactly. That lands with a thud. It implies the donors don't know. It drives a wedge between the organization and its own funding base. All of a sudden, their donors might start making phone calls. Hey, I gave you money to protest judicial reform, not to fund some hit piece on a TV channel.
It creates internal pressure. I love it.
And here's one more example. You could even suggest a call to action. End with something like, since they won't answer us, perhaps the registrar of nonprofits should be asking why a supposed reservist group is funneling money through a political protest organization.
Wow. Yeah, that moves the story forward. It goes from being just a news report to being part of an active investigation. You're basically inviting the regulatory bodies to step in.
It transforms their no comment from a shield into a huge liability. The story isn't over. Their silence is now a question mark that demands a legal answer.
And it ties back perfectly to the earlier visual point. If you've already shown the viewer that there's no Amuta number, and then you end by calling for the registrar to investigate, that's a beautiful, coherent narrative arc about deception and accountability.
Exactly. So let's just recap the whole thing. The core of this investigation is solid. Finding that link between this fake reservists group and the Blue and White Future money, that's a great scoop. But the execution needs to be way sharp.
Right. First, you have to refute the content of the attacks immediately. Don't ignore them. If they say you hate women, you show evidence to the contrary before you even mention who paid them.
Second, you have to spell out the political contradiction. Don't make the audience guess why it's weird that this guy attacks politicians on the left and the right. Just tell them he's a gun for hire.
Third, show the digital trail. No more, we check. We want to see the clicks, show us the screen recordings, make the proof visual and undeniable.
And finally, you have to sharpen that no comment into a specific indictment of their lack of transparency with their own donors. Make their silence hurt them.
I really think if these changes get made, this report goes from being a standard nightly news segment to a powerful piece of investigative journalism that goes viral. It becomes very, very difficult to dismiss. It all comes down to showing your work.
It does.
When you show your work, you build trust. And in the media landscape we're in today, trust is really the only currency that matters.
Well said. We want to thank the listener for sending this in. It's important work. And with just a few of these structural tweaks, it can be devastatingly effective. We invite you to submit the next version for more feedback. Keep digging.